Afternoon. It's solar noon here in Moab, Utah on March 20th. I've been tracking shadows all morning. We have overcast skies. I'm hoping that's going to give me an opportunity right there. I've also been lining up the flags. The sun was pretty good this morning. All indications, all readings. I'll post my pictures from throughout the day. Looks like today is the vernal equinox. I have a very, very faint shadow here. You see it. We're just a little after solar noon. You see my level and my degrees. Good afternoon. We're out here on this windy first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It is solar noon, and I just thought I'd run out here and set the armillary and see where we are. You can see our shadow, you zoom in here, is right here on this line, right here. And the stovepipe, where is it today? Let's see. It's solar noon on the 29th day of the third Kodesh, and we are watching for the solstice. And I went ahead and marked where this shadow is that we're kind of watching to see if it moves. This is really our first time of just kind of watching the shadows for the solstice. Say Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Today is the third Shabbat of the fourth Kodesh. We are at midday here in Moab, Utah, where it is a lovely 103 degrees currently. And we're looking at the armillary. Just wanted to pop out here today and check. We can see that it's solar noon. We see how far down, this was our equinox, how far down we moved. Now we're heading back up. And then the shadow we measured here at the solstice, and you can see how much just in about 2.5 weeks it's moved back up. So as the equinox comes again this fall, we're also curious to see if there's a shadow cast this way. So we're going to be watching for that. We can see the shadow here, how much we've moved. Now this shadow will start moving back up. What we have here also is our stovepipe shadow, which really, honestly, the stovepipe has taught us more about how the shadows move than anything, than the armillary. And we see just in our 2.5 weeks, this is our solstice mark. And so it's moved quite a bit, heading back to Equinox. Shabbat Shalom. It's solar midday here in Moab, Utah. We are in the second month of our summer season. So that means we have 5 Shabbats this month. Every middle month of the season contains 5 Shabbats. So that's an interesting little tidbit to know. So if we recall, this brick that says time was where the vernal equinox was. And then this brick, if you can see it, says stands still. This is where the summer solstice was. And I measured between the two, and interestingly, it was 45.5 inches. So I did some math, and I thought, okay, well, let's times that by 4, using the logic that we have 4 seasons. So the total was 182. And I'm like, wow. Well, you times that by 2, you get 364. So just some fun math with our shadows. Shalom, shalom, everybody. It's not quite midday here in my location, but the eclipse is going on, and so I want to just come out and look at our shadows and how long the stovepipe shadow is right now. It's pretty crazy. I will show you guys the sun, but I'm not gonna look at it. There it is. So this is where we're at. We're looking, didn't get glasses, so we just punched some holes in the paper. We're not in totality area. We're gonna get about 85 to 90% totality here in my location. But this is where we are. Quick little recording here to show our tree and how the eclipse is showing through the shadows, and it just the really cool pattern that it is making. You can see all the little eclipses. Isn't that awesome?
Praise Yahweh.
And what causes an eclipse? Well, when the moon comes between the earth and the sun. That is not possible unless we are a globe. I'm checking what the shadows are doing. It's really a unique opportunity to experience these elongated shadows during the season that they shouldn't be that long. So we'll see how everything goes back to normal come midday. But there's our sun. Shabbat Shalom. It is the Roman September 15th. We are on our 6th Kodesh, our 6th month, and the 28th day, 28th Yom, and the 4th and final Shabbat of this month. So that means tomorrow is the celebration of the Feast of the Wood Gathering. Well, even though we didn't have the equinox today, the bearded one here shared with me some interesting celestial tidbits for today.
Moon is in a rare occultation with several planets and a star today. That's a rare thing to happen. It actually eclipses over these 3 planets. This rare occasion. This time, I think it was 2034 will be the next occurrence.
Right.
This has been happening today. Starts with passing in front of Venus, then Regulus.
And Regulus is the royal star in the heart of Leo. So we have Virgo and we have Venus, sorry.
Venus and Regulus, Mars, and then finally Mercury as it passes by. All within a 24-hour period. It still has to go past and get past Mercury today.
But so it's doing this rare occultation as it's making its way down. I'm sure most of you have heard something about Virgo and the moon under her feet on the September 23rd. And so this rare occultation is happening as the moon is making her way down to the feet of Virgo. So just the celestial rarities that have happened this year is amazing.
And
so
coming all the way through, it looks like through month 7.
Right, and then another thing we discovered is on the 24th, that moon, after she's under the feet of Virgo, will drop down and basically, like Kefa had said, will be weighed in the balance. She drops right down into the scale of Libra.
With the alignment still there.
It's time to start learning these heavens. If you don't think these are a sign, then you're going to be lost. You're going to be one of the ones to see. So we want to just wish everybody shalom, shalom, and have a blessed Yom Teruah tomorrow. We'll be watching the shadows and having celebration and worship with Yahweh. Shalom, shalom. It's Yom Teruah, and we're out here this morning. It's kind of cloudy, so hoping we're going to get good readings. But we've already blown the shofar at sunrise, and we can see our stovepipe shadow, just like I said, has moved over a half a board there. So it should be in the middle of the board tomorrow, and then I would say it would be the equinox the following day. Let's see what the shadows all tell us today. So there is stovepipe. We're looking at our shadows at midday, and well, that's yeah, it looks like it's pretty much touching. And the interesting thing is our armillary today. I don't know if you can see that shadow. It is right on the X. So what does that mean? Today's Yom Teruah. I don't know. Makes sense to me, but we're gonna have those naysayers. So you can see there's the shadow right up there where the vernal equinox was last spring. Well, good evening, everyone. It is the evening of Yom Teruah, and we had our observations today of the shadows and some interesting things. This is our first year of doing this. I've always been a sky watcher, but never a shadow watcher. So Enoch teaches us certain things about the division of time. And today we had our shadow come back up to our equinox point, even though our filled flags look straight, but
they're really close.
They're really close, but I don't think we have enough together. I don't think we did it. We should have done it like maybe every 15 or 20 minutes, not every hour, so we could got a better line.
Something we got to do, make sure we do next year. But I'm satisfied that we got a great sign in the sky, and when those lines go straight, we know we're there. One we need to pay attention to is a vernal equinox, a spring equinox, because next day is month 1, day 1, and we count, and that's what counts.
All right, now, I mean, we had the shadow come up to our vernal equinox point today, which tells us what? It tells us that it's been 182-ish days since then, which Enoch says is when Yom Teruah is. So it marked Yom Teruah. And to say that our calendar is out of whack because our seasons are no longer the same amount of days.
If you remember correctly, we put the video up on the solstice back in June 19th, and it showed the shadow actually changing on the north stick on our armillary, which told us, even though quote unquote the sun's standing still, we could see a difference in the shadow, and it got smaller, it shortened up, which means it was starting to turn already. It turned at the proper time. So trying to understand what Enoch is saying about these seasonal markers is very interesting.
Right.
The count is what's important.
The count, he tells us how to count, but he was seeing shadows. I mean, we have to think about Enoch, okay? He describes it as equal, so of course there's a big debate, is it the Equillux or is it the Equinox? And I'm wondering if it's not even something different. When we look at shadows, he was looking at the shadow, and the earth was engulfed in half a shadow. So it was half day, half night. Was it the position of the sun, or was it just the shadow? But I have no doubt that the shadows told us today that today is Yom Teruah. It may not be the straight line for the equinox, but I have no doubt today was Yom Teruah. Today is the first day of the 7th month. I think the sun told us that with where it lined up. And I think we still have lots to learn, but I think we're right on track, and Yahweh is showing us it is his shadows. It is the shadows of time. So again, I just want to reiterate our findings and our standing that Yom Teruah returned just as it was supposed to, and the shadows marked it. And the shadows don't lie. Shabbat Shalom. We're midday here. Boy, I don't even know what are we, third Shabbat, 8th Kadesh? Is that where we're at already? The bearded man behind me is shaking his head yes. Wow, where has
one more Shabbat and
then the new Kadesh? Where's the year going? I don't know. But the shadows are getting longer. My sweet Kefa is pointing out here the southern, this shadow that's dropping, moving north from the south side is creeping up, where we can see that on our cross line here moving up. Over here to the stovepipe, we have many things laid out here today. So remember, our beginning point really we're working off of was Yom Teruah, when our shadow came back to the vernal equinox or the spring equinox point, and now we've traveled all the way here. We're at 67 inches. If you remember, I measured out to 90 inches, as there's 90 days between Yom Teruah and the winter solstice. So here we are at 67 and a half. And we see we only have a short time, but we still have several days, weeks before we are even looking at the winter solstice. But we're watching the sun's movement now, and it's dipping lower and lower in the south, and actually what we're seeing is it's slowing down at this point. So our days started out being a couple minutes, losing a couple minutes, 2.5 minutes each day. Now we're below 2 minutes a day. So as the sun lowers in the south, the shadows are getting longer. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today is the 9th Kodesh, the 21st day, and that makes it the 3rd Shabbat. So we're 3/4 of the way through the Kodesh, and we're looking at the armilary. It's getting close now to the new season, to the winter season marker. So we're going to start looking and marking this on the armilary. And we see I've marked here today is 9/21, Kodesh 9, day 21. So we will start marking it and watching how it is moving. You can see our shadow here from the north, or from the south, moving northerly, moving up towards the north as our sun continues to drop. I'm not sure what our angle is today. The long shadow of the stovepipe has now surpassed the 91-inch mark, or the 90-inch mark, thus marking the 91 days from Yom Teruah to the winter solstice, which we haven't got there yet. So we can see the shadow is right about the 103 mark, 103 inches from the Yom Teruah and vernal equinox point. Shalom, shalom. We're here today on the 30th day of the 9th Kodesh. So we can see that the sun really is barely not even moving since Shabbat. Roman Friday was Shabbat. Today is Sunday. This is the period of time that the sun is coming around and it appears to stand still. So here we are. We're going to be watching tomorrow, which is according to the Enochian and Zadokite Dead Sea Scroll count. Tomorrow would be the winter seasonal marker. And then on Shabbat, the following Friday, would be actually the winter solstice according to the position of the sun and man's calculations. So we're going to be watching the shadows really carefully. Today is the Enochian winter seasonal marker, or the 91st day of the season, or the last day of the season, and tomorrow would be the 10th Kodesh, the head of the 10th Kodesh tomorrow, and also the Noach memorial. So we can see here, I've gone ahead and marked the armillary, because now we're just a little past solar midday, and you can see it is coming below yesterday's line. So we see just a faint change in the shadow, but it's pretty darn close. We've checked the level and the protractor, and our set is good, so the sun is starting to come back around, just like Enoch said. Yesterday we were at 107 inches, and it doesn't look like the shadow has really changed. In fact, it looks about the same or less. Shalom, shalom. Today is, I guess I should say Shalom Rosh Hodesh 10. Today is the 10th month, first day. So we're going to take a look, see what our shadows are doing today. We come down here to stovepipe real quick. And here we see the stovepipe, and we're still at 107 inches, but it seems to be maybe fading back a little bit. But so what we do is, I came up here to the top of the stovepipe. We take measurement from that peak, and I just take a stick and I touch it, and then my husband can see exactly where we're at. And so that's how we take that measurement. So here we have the beginning, the short shadow, and then the long shadow. And then we check with the armillary, which we see something pretty amazing here. We actually see the shadow line, if I can get a good picture of that, is dropped back down. So yesterday was that top, day before yesterday was the top mark on the right. And then yesterday was the middle mark on the left. And then we see the bottom mark where this shadow is almost to was on Shabbat. So here we see that the sun is moving back down. Look at our southerly shadow. We see a huge difference there. Let's get it marked. So we've already see this much of the sun coming back, moving back north from the south. So this will start shrinking back up. And I don't know, folks. You know, I don't think we all understand exactly Enoch, and we debate what he means and what this means. Is it Equinox, Equulux? It's the shadows, folks. Watch the shadows and what they do. Yahweh always speaks with the shadows.